Welcome everyone to another episode of Price Targets with your host Bitcoin Jack. Welcome back. It's Wednesday, back to the regular schedule. It's almost 5 p.m. here. I'm slightly ahead of the schedule because usually I record at 5, so that's right now that's 3 UTC. I hope you've all been well. Bitcoin has remained pretty stagnant, ranging pretty well. I don't want to use bad words, but the price action just has been ranging, and ETH keeps plowing. I'm gonna be talking a little bit about I think there's some opportunities maybe on XRP and EUS, so we'll be looking in that. They haven't done much. Other altcoins have been going mayhem. YFI, I don't know how you pronounce that, started running again, so maybe that's gonna refuel a bit of DeFi craze after all the Shiba Inus and Doge and whatever coins have been running. We'll be talking about that in a little bit, but first I want your attention for the sponsor, Prime XBT. They're a crypto exchange. They're sponsoring my content, and I'm pretty pleased to say that they have given me and you a deal. If you sign up with them, you get a 50% deposit bonus on your first deposit, up to 0.5 BTC. Conditions apply. You can ask me about that if you want, but if you sign up using the promo code BitcoinJack as in the description below and use the link in the description below / in the watermark, you'll get that bonus. So thank you, Prime, for sponsoring and for the deal. Let's dive in. Bitcoin. We're looking at the chart here. It's still ranging. We've been testing the monthly a couple of times. If we manage to, actually get above it, I don't think this is over. But as long as we get rejected here, I'm not entirely sure whether price wants to come down here or wants to move up there. And honestly, the range has been pretty deadly lately. I got stopped out a few times, usually at break even, sometimes at a small loss, sometimes at a small profit. It's just not been, the key area of focus, and therefore I'm not going to be talking about it much here either. I could dive into the low time frames and say, well, there's an opportunity here or there to get in, and maybe you can upgrade the scalp to a swing trade, but so far I have not been really succeeding doing that, and I'm just going to stick to the high time frame levels for now. It's been ranging for, let's see, 91 days, 92 days. That's pretty impressive. I think it's one of the longest consolidations during a bull market. And even if we do sell off into the weekly demand right down here at, this gray box, I still don't think the bull market is over. It would just be a reset. I don't say we'll go there. I have no conviction where it's going. If we can reclaim the monthly at 58.8, that's a pretty bullish sign. So let's just, leave Bitcoin where it's at, and focus on where the price action is. There's something really funny to be said. Maybe it's going to translate to something interesting. But Coinbase here, it's sold off a few times after the listing on the Nasdaq, and now it has a pretty bullish retrace. I'm not saying it's going to go up straight away, but this is engulfing price action. So maybe this is spelling some, overall bullish market conditions for, not just coin, but everything related to crypto. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but this is promising. This is, off the bottom. That's 20%. So maybe if this is going to start running, everything is going to start running. Just, madness all over the entire market. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but it just popped in my head that it's a decent possibility. Let's have a look at EOS BTC. I haven't actually looked at that chart that much, so all right. So this is a super old chart from way back, but I'm pretty, overall pretty bullish on EOS to actually make a pretty silly rally. It literally has swept the lows here. I talked about it a few times on Twitter, but I never really managed to get my exposure in. So I'm gonna have to just take a little bit of time to chart this with you guys. Hopefully that's entertaining for you. Let's clean it up a little bit. Let's get it weekly. Okay, so chart obviously is at resistance. This pretty much here was the last bit of buying before this chart puked itself to well, quote unquote being dead. And it's been selling off versus BTC for, let's see, this is the bottom, for over 1,000 days. So what's very likely is to get like an ETC type of rally on this coin, especially if this manages to get above here. So if that happens, I do think it's going to target this block up here, and it's just going to be a giant cup. Right now it's at resistance, and we have already had a little pullback into this zone right here. You can see that here on the lower time frames. So any pullback back into this range, it kind of like tested the zone. So now I'd be eager to actually look at a test of the top of the zone. So this daily here, which is, the block that pushed us to new highs here. If we manage to trade back into that, so let's draw a fib, extend it. The 618 does directly correlate with the red level over here, and then the 786. So pretty much I'd be looking to get an entry up here, and then, oops, at least target the high right here if it doesn't make a new high. So if it does sell off into here, that's where I'd be looking to get an entry back into the gray box above us. And I mean, technically this could come down all the way down here. It's pretty steep though. Let's measure it. Yeah, so that's, I think that's just a little bit too much. Maybe if we see like all olds coming back and stop their rallies, maybe it can get back there. I don't think it's going to happen. This makes a lot more sense, and that even that would be steep, but it's within what we've seen before. This pullback right here is around 35%. So EOS is one that I'm looking at, and then there's actually maybe even more promise in XRP, because that has been pretty idle, I don't know, since for a couple of weeks, and it's kind of flagging here. So if we grab the daily, the weekly, there's like these two levels down here, and then this high right here, and it's tested it right now. So it kind of feels that this is ready to flip the level. It kind of puked through it right here for a little while, but I feel this is ready to go test the resistance up here. So at like 3600-ish. So ideally, we swept the level here. Right? And we swept this level. So it's a double sweep at resistance. So basically, if the daily can, whoops. If the daily claims this, I think it's going to go up here, maybe bounce a little bit, and then go into 3600. So your stop would be below 22.53, and then so you get a long position like this. You target that. Your stop is below here, so it's not a massive risk to reward trade. You probably could also, if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you could probably get an entry here, stop below here, and then your risk to reward would be slightly better. But there's a little bit more risk that it will actually go lower. So ideally, we claim this level, and then it kind of coils up into resistance again, kind of dicks around a little bit, but you know, 1, 2, arguably 3, but maybe this is 2. This would be 3, and then, you know, slight pullback into 4, and then up there. So kind of patient on this one, like that. That would be what I'm aiming for on XRP. And then, you know, the thing is, if it gets up here, you know, it probably will struggle a little bit, but at some point, if alts remain bullish, especially considering that XRP has been, you know, hasn't been running as most of the others have been running. If we actually flip this, then there's a lot of room for growth. We already tested this level here a couple of times, so there's this giant inefficiency all the way up to like 7-8k sats that might actually start to get filled. Possibly a little bit of an issue around 6,000 sats, but that's getting ahead of myself at this point. 3600 is a very clear, 35, 34, 36 is a very clear resistance for now. But that would be something I'm going to keep an eye on. And I mean, we can have a look at ETH. It's just plowing through every fucking level. I'm not in it anymore, which is kind of a shame, if, you know, considering I did exit around 0.06. That is another, you know, 30% already. So fuck me. Apologize for the language. Litecoin, it's at resistance. If it does flip it, I want to get long again. Same story as last week. I want to get, you know, if this does pull back into red/lower, that's where, you know, it's 100% a place where I'd start to accumulate. But this is probably, just like with ETH, pretty bullish still. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, even if Bitcoin starts rumbling, everyone's going to expect that altcoins are initially going to, you know, lose on the old BTC pair. I'm not so sure about it. We probably could just have, you know, ideally Bitcoin rallies, and then alts just shows strength alongside it. That would be the most healthy sign of this market actually, you know, wanting to go higher, because that just means that money is pouring into everything, right? So that being said, I think I covered most everything that I wanted to cover. Can I have a little look at Bitcoin dominance? It is still in the region. This is just, maybe it's going to come down all the way here. I do expect a slight pullback at some point. So for ETH, that's the one thing I didn't cover. I wanted to talk about this specific zone. It's pretty interesting to note that when ETH got to the 0.05, 0.06 level historically, if it nuked through it, it always came back to test it, retest it, and then reject. And otherwise, when it came into it and didn't like break through it straight away, it always had a little bit of a pullback, right? So test, pullback, test through, pullback into the level, nuked through it, no support, did retest it, then continued the other way around. Went through it here on the first try, came back into it. It was support up there, into it, through it. So in this instance, we went straight through it as well. There's gonna be at some point, I think, an opportunity for price to come back down here. Maybe way later. I'm not saying it's going there. I'm just saying that if price does come into the level, obviously, I do expect that it's unlikely to go straight through it straight away, since it goes straight through it this way. So it has to, very likely has to become a support. So if we must come back into it, that's probably a long. And that's pretty much all I can say right now. I don't feel comfortable longing such a, I got out, and I don't feel comfortable getting in, just arguably in, I don't know what this is, but this is just pure insane strength. And I'm just always of the opinion that I'd like to get in when there's some risk-defined entry. So I probably could go onto the lower time frames and get it, but at this point I'm just too tired and too stressed out by this market to actually do so. I think that concludes the video for today. I hope that was entertaining and educational, and I catch you on Sunday. Peace.